evening, everybody. Hello, hi. Welcome. Got my camera angled at a little bit of a weird angle. Let's move that. Hi, everybody. How's it going? Happy Thursday. Can't see any comments yet, so I don't know if anyone's... Oh, yes, I can see them. Di says hi. Hello, how are you? I'm fine. Ah, my pictures are wonky again. They're a nightmare, these pictures. They go wonky. I'm also not sure that they're level. I need to probably redo them. Move. They're definitely not level. Hi, Judy. Hi, Lisa. Thanks. This is actually Nigel's. I stole it for him. He got it in Disneyland last week. Hello, 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 Adele, Rosanna, Kirsten, Lily, Amanda, Julie. Anyone else I missed? Kelly, Susan, hi, Gavin. The menace is in the building, guys. The menace is here. I repeat, the menace is here. Hi, Millie. Hi, Lorraine. Hi, Jem. I just like saying hello to people. Hi, Ralph. Hi, Sophie. Wow, we're at 38 people already. Hi, Hannah. Hi, Marie. I think the Oud box has been quite popular. I've seen lots of positive things. Hi, Dawn. Hi, Judith. Hi, Timia. Ah, long time no see. Good to see you. Hi, Pat. Evelina. Is it Abel? Abel? Evelie? Abel? Tell me, am I getting it wrong? Karen. I saw that, Kelly. I obviously want it. And Grace Jones is playing a festival here in Cambridge next year. I need to get tickets because I love Grace Jones. Yes, I want to try that Grace Jones candle. I haven't been that impressed with Boy Smells candles generally, which is why I haven't just bought it. Oh, best box so far. Well, we knew you'd love this one, Gavin. Sophie loved it but didn't think she would. That's good. Oh, Millie, I'm glad. Welcome, your first time. Enjoy. I'm glad you're liking the box. Hi, Monica. Good to see you again. Thank you for sharing that, Kelly. I'm glad everyone likes this box. Hang on, test a strip. Shall we just get into the reveal? Shall we? I don't want to keep you in suspense too long. Hi, Carol. So, I hope you've all got your boxes ready. Well, we do have some first time attendees today, so I will just do my usual spiel. Obviously, we're going to do the reveal of the fragrances, but a few key things to note. What we'll do first of all is talk a little bit about Oud, what it is, what the theme is, in particular the note. And then we'll talk to each of the fragrances, and what we've done with each of these actually really is we've picked ones that show different facets of Oud. So you've kind of got a rosy one, because that's a very traditional thing. Then you've got quite a fresh one, because Oud's not always very fresh. Then there's a more gourmand one, a more spicy one, a more floral one, a little bit more of a soft one, a more woody one, a more aromatic one. So it's kind of different facets of Oud explored. As always, smell along, tell me what you think in the group. There's no right or wrong. That's the big thing to know about perfume. It's not about listing the notes or knowing the materials. It's about describing your experiences. And if it smells one way to you, then that's perfectly valid. I'm never going to say, no, you're wrong. It's not got that in it. I might say, oh, I don't particularly get that facet myself, but if you smell it, it's there. So, should we just get to it? Gavin's had 3 boxes. Yeah, I saw your collection of Oud boxes, Gavin. Hoarding for nuclear apocalypse. Beck, you finally managed to join. Yay. Oh, Evelyn says Oud is her favourite. Okay. So, Let's talk about oud. Oud, or agarwood, as it's sometimes called, agarwood, is a resinous wood formed in the heartwood of the Acqua tree. And it happens when those trees become infected with a specific type of mold. So it's almost like kind of a immune resistance from the response from the tree to the mold. And it's prized for its rich, intense and animalic odour, which in its pure form is somewhere between sort of blue cheese and a barnyard. It's very animalic, but kind of like poopy animalic, I would say. It does smell very barnyard, but also very blue cheesy. So actual real oud is really funky and intense. So when you smell fragrances that are very high in real oud, and some ones that I will give you as an example is probably The Night by Frederic Malle. That's a very traditional true oud, very sort of, you know, Stilton plus barnyard. Also I think it's Pearl Oud by Killian is quite similar. And it's very, very potent. Obviously the ouds that we smell are much more tamed for Western tastes. So it has a very, very strong odour, but also has kind of facets that are florals, quite medicinal, sour and petroleum-like. So it's a very intense material, but it works well with others. It's been used extensively in Middle Eastern perfumery for centuries, where its tenacity really blooms in hot climates. In lots of places where, you know, your eau de guerlain would probably just dissolve off your skin immediately, oud tends to stick around, especially in oil form. And it beats the heat in those countries to stick around on the skin for a long time, where other materials would quickly fade. It's famed for being one of perfumery's rarest and most expensive materials, because obviously it has to come from infected trees. And it's also burnt as, chips are burnt as incense, and there's a whole sort of use of it in ritual as well. It's, you know, in Middle Eastern culture, it's used in many, many different ways, more than just fragrance. Over the last 20 years or so, it's actually become a popular material in Western perfumery, working its way mostly in the form of oud accords. So when I say oud accords, perfumers have put together materials to create the impression of oud rather than using natural oud, because it's expensive and also quite potent for Western tastes. So they will recreate oud using materials like cypriol, which is quite smoky leather material, and others to create the impression of oud. So a lot of what we smell probably doesn't have real oud in it. And I would say now oud is more than a note, and probably more of its own fragrance family, because I think this box probably highlights that a little bit, because it is such a diverse material. All these fragrances are oud, and I'm just thinking all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the 7 actually have oud in the name. And I think what that shows you is that oud is its own style of perfumery. So it's more than just a note, and it's so diverse, and it overlaps with other fragrance families. So yeah, it's used very extensively. I think the first sort of time it was really talked about was with the YSL fragrance M7, which have I got here? I have literally got my hand. That's quite funny. This fragrance here, M7, which was came out from YSL. You can see my bottle is just about empty. I have got another somewhere. This fragrance came out when Tom Ford was at the helm of YSL, and it's the first sort of reported use of oud in Western perfumery. It's probably not the first use, but it's the first time I've really talked about the use in the perfumery. And then obviously since then it's exploded. It's everywhere. So it's been widely utilised to add a kind of smoky, leathery intensity to fragrances, but it has developed, as I said, over the last sort of 2 decades to be its own olfactory family. We have floral ouds, we have aquatic ouds, citrus ouds, and even gourmand ouds. It's really, really varied, and I think this box gives you a little bit of a taste of oud in all its forms. You're gonna have to bear with me. I've got a bit of a cold. I'm convinced I've got COVID. 2 years, and I think this is my first COVID. I got back from LA on Tuesday evening, and I think if I haven't got COVID, even though my lateral flow tests are negative, then I'd be surprised. Are you poorly? Oh, sorry, I haven't been reading the comments. Are you poorly so much? I do. I am a bit poorly. I have been working from my bed most of the day. Lily says you struggle with the box a little bit. Tell us a bit more, Lily. We're happy to see why you've struggled. Happy to hear about that. It's interesting. Blue cheese. That's so funny because I've never tried blue cheese because I'm not sure I would like it. Well, does it? Okay, you have to try blue cheese. I would say go for a nice like Roquefort if you want to start a blue cheese. I love Roquefort. Oh, Marty, you've got a cold too. Sorry to hear you're not feeling very well. I think Oud is very Marmite. Yes, I think it is. You either love it or hate it. Poopy animalic, you love, Lorraine. We love a bit of poopy animalic. Okay, sorry, I'm just scrolling through comments before I start going into the fragrances, because I don't want to miss what you guys are saying. Thank you for the well wishes. Vanilla was your 8 box. Yeah, I get that. This is quite far removed from those sweet stuff. Oh, I'm glad that you've still not caught it. Yeah, my tests all come back in negative, but you know those lateral flows are useless, aren't they? I've got all of the symptoms, so I just know it is. Just know it. I know it. Right, shall we go into the fragrances then? I'd like to know as well as we go whether you like the fragrance or not. So I really want to get a sense of which ones are the faves and which ones aren't. So let's go, fragrance A. So we started with fragrance A because it's a rose oud. And I think it's really important to start with a rose oud because traditionally oud oils and rose oils were blended together. So rose and oud are kind of kissing cousins, I suppose. They are like partners. They're two materials that go very, very well together. And I think this one's a really modern interpretation of rose and oud. I think this is really, really beautiful. So we wanted to, I suppose, start off here because this fragrance pairs rose. You understand what I'm saying? It pairs rose and oud together, which is very traditional sort of combination. So lots of people like it. Cheryl says she thought E was rose. A, B, C, D, E. Definitely some rose in E. Cheryl, you're not wrong. A's a bit leathery and birch tar. Yes, lots of leather in there. It's a bit tarry, a bit smoky. I totally see what you're saying with Halfeti, Beck. I get that. It's kind of in the same ballpark. Halfeti is a rose and oud. A very, very, I think it dials the smokiness up a little bit more in a Halfeti. I think it's kind of, I think this is more refined than Halfeti personally. Gavin has said, A smells like a leather daddy with a bunch of roses in one hand and a joss stick in the other. Oh, we like that leather daddy. Big fan of that leather daddy. Excuse me, I do apologise. So I think we have included a couple of the fragrances, loads of fragrances from this brand, but a couple from this collection throughout the boxes. Excuse me, I'm going to take a sip of my drink. Because I think this collection is I really like it. I think it showcases these different themes so well. Bit tar, winterberry, too strong, says Judy. Smoother and woodier, I agree, Beck, than Halfeti. Halfeti has also got much more of like an almond thing going on. There's like a kind of gourmand element to it that I think this kind of doesn't have. This has more of a saffron feel to me. And it's leathery, it's incensey, it's kind of like joss sticks, isn't it? Smoky rather than leather smoky. With a lovely rose note. That's a little bit more of a dusty rose. Struggled with A, says Vicky. This was my first box in the A. The first A you tried. Didn't put you off there. Well, I'm glad we didn't put you off. It's beautiful. Okay, a bit more of a room scent than a fragrance. Okay, I'm going to put you out your misery and reveal what A is. Give the bottle a polish as we do before we go. Okay, so this fragrance is Oud Essential. Oh, let me see if you can see that on the label. Oh god, it's not focusing. It's the ring light. Oh my god. Wait, no, can I get it to do it? No. So it's Oud Essential by GUERLAIN. And this comes from their Absolute Orient collection. We had one in the spice box. We had the Épices Exquise. I also think we've done another one. We did the Patchouli, didn't we? We did the Patchouli Ardente, I think. So this came out in 2017, Perfumerie Thierry Vassa, and it's £129 for 125 on EDP. I love these bottles. I think the new bottles are transparent, so it's like an emerald green. This is obviously like opaque. They've changed them a little bit, and I actually think the transparent ones look much nicer, like glowing little gems. Yeah, so Oud Essential. There you go. Gavin guessed it. Has a nice dry down, says Cheryl. I knew I'd smelled it before, says Marie. Aha. Aha! So there you go, that's our Rose Oud. Right, let's move on to fragrance B. Okay, so we've gone for fragrance B because it is a fresher oud. So I'd be keen to see what people think of this one because I think this one's quite different from the others. Much fresher. Much more centering on white musk and ombrette, which is kind of a musk material that feels a little bit velvety, a little bit silky, a bit creamy. And the oud in here, I think, just gives a kind of subtle woodiness. Dried blood. Oh wow. That's the thing about musk is I suppose it can be quite metallic to people. And musk is an odd one because lots of people are anosmic to musk materials because the molecules are quite big, so your noses can't always smell them. So sometimes we interpret musk fragrances very, very differently. Salty sea notes, La Malle after a big night out. See, for me it's very muted, very soft, but I could be a little bit anosmic to some of it. Mouldy seaweed. There is a marine facet to it. It's got a green tea note, there's ambergris in there. By fresh you mean bin juice. Cousin, we actually call that vinegar, the bin juice. That's the technical term, it's vinegar. Dead things. Wow, lots of, not very many lovers of bee. Interesting. Judy says she can't smell any woods. We're all laughing at dried blood. Yeah, I get that, Hannah, like vanilla essence. I think that's the musk. It's very creamy, very subtle. Marmite fragrance. Yeah, it does seem that way, Lucy. People either love it or they hate it. Interesting. So this comes from a brand that we've already done before. Banana and nuts, says Julie. Wow. I think we've done one other of these. And I think also that did have an oud in the name as well. So this is by a brand called ZARKOPERFUME, which is relatively new to us. I'm just trying to think if I pulled the right one out. I haven't, you know. I haven't pulled the right one out of my box. That's embarrassing, isn't it? Where did you put it? There you go. Not to give any spoilers, but I pulled the wrong one out. There you go. It is. It's a good job that I noticed that before I started showing you, isn't it? Yes, this is Oud'ish by ZARKOPERFUME, which is a very, very soft, musky take on oud. A little bit fresher. It's Oud'ish. I just looked at the label then and I was like, that doesn't say Oud'ish on there. I've pulled the wrong one. Hilarious. These blood descriptions are making me doubt my nose. You would bathe in it. Well, you know, it is different strokes, different folks with the perfume, absolutely. Vanilla and a hint of lemon. Kay says it's her favourite, but the other comments made me think I may not have been popular. They have covered myself in it. I think things are very different on skin. One of my favourite box. I can't believe I smell like dead stuff and blood. Oh no. Refreshers. Refreshers is a much nicer description. Yeah, you really do have to try things on skin. I agree, Hannah, because it does smell very, very different. Okay, let's move away from B then. Oh, petrichor, my favourite word. Such a good word. Let's go to fragrance C. Let me get my strip. This one I think is a bit more of a gourmand oud, and that's why we've chosen it, because it, I suppose, has a bit more of an edible feel to it. Well, which when you think of oud, you know, you think of smoke and you think of, you know, barnyards and blue cheese. Not the most edible things in the world, but this one is very edible, and I love how sort of tangy, sort of mandarin-y it is up top. And there's like lovely ginger, it's kind of sharp. And then it's smoky, a little bit smoky, a little bit of aniseed, because very woody, vanilla. It's like burning sort of, I don't know, you've made some sort of pie or something and you're burning it. Oh, how much was B? That was a really good, sorry. You can tell my brain's not with it today. Thank you, Lily, for reminding me. I should tell you what the price of the fragrance was. B was £95 for 100ml Eau de Parfum. I apologise for not giving you the full details there. That came out in 2013. So yes, this one seems to be lovely licorice notes, Gavin says. Yeah, it's a little bit salty as well, isn't it? I think it's really complex, this one. I'm always intrigued by, every time I smell it, I feel like I get different things from it. Cheesecake, says Carol. Toffee. Makes me feel hungry. Maria says absolute gem. Smells like something my fiance wears, says Millie. Beautiful, gorgeous, stunning. That was 3 in a row from Amy, Gemma and Rosanna. Lovely sort of descriptions there. Caramel. Definitely licorice. Interesting. So it's just, what I think is really fascinating about this is we all agree that it's gourmand, I think, because we're all giving edible things, but lots of different things. Sort of tannin, says Nigel. Oh, what with cocoa butter? Yeah, I can totally imagine that as well. I love the smell of cocoa butter. I think this would smell really nice on top of that, because it does kind of have like a coconutty vibe, doesn't it? ISOE Super, possibly. I mean, you would be hard to find a fragrance that doesn't have ISOE Super in it these days. It's just such a good material for creating smoothness and expanse in a fragrance. A bit of a wonder material. Okay, this one is from a brand that everybody loves. Whenever we include a fragrance from this brand, everyone seems to really, really like it. So this one is, fragrance C is, from Initio, and this is Oud for Happiness, which is a great name. I also really love this bottle with this very intricate sticker that goes around 3 sides. This is a pricey one. This is £285 for a 90ml Eau de Parfum. And this came out last year. I think this is a really lovely, really cool, beautiful gourmand oud. So there you go, from Initio. Oud for Happiness, as part of their Black Gold project. I love the sticker, it's very shiny. It's got some sort of Illuminati thing going on it as well, I think. Right. That is fragrance C. Sip of drink, I think. Jen says this is the first Initio where I've got the hype about the brand, haven't liked any of the others. That's good. I think that's a good thing about some brands is they're so varied in their style that you wouldn't necessarily love everything. And I think you should expect to love everything from a brand. I think a good brand will have lots of different stuff to it. So happy to have tried it. Perfect name for C. Your name is, my nose is too bougie for my bank account. I think everybody in this group probably qualifies for that. Okay, let's move on to D. This one, fragrance D, a wild card. Bit of a wild card, and I'll see if you can guess why it's a wild card. This one we picked because it's a spicier take on oud. Oh, it's just not spraying. Come on, there you go. This one's fascinating. I wonder why anyone can tell me why we think this one's a bit of a wild card. It's manly. Carol really liked it. Beck wasn't very keen on it. Nutty, says Lily. Amy says we've had D already for sure. We have. I think D is our first repeat, and it's a deliberate one. I thought it'd be interesting to see whether those of us who've been following for a while, whether they recognised it. But also, I think actually it works in this box really, really well, because I think we had it in one of our new boxes last year when we did like kind of new launches. But this one is really, really complex. So you've got lots of fruitiness up top, so sort of like raspberry, some rose in there, which works really well with the fruitiness. And then it's very spicy. It's cinnamon. It's almost like, I don't know, it's very piquant with like kind of peppers in there. It's fruity with like pink pepper, and then you've got lovely like patchouli leather oud smoke in there. Did we have it in our new box in October? Says Ralph. I think we did, Ralph. I think you are correct. So this one is Oud and Spice by Acqua de Parma. It came out in 2021 because it was in one of our new launches boxes. It's £183.60 for 100ml and £227.70 for 180ml. There you go. I think Gavin's a big fan of this one, so it has the Menace stamp of approval. Spice rummed barrels. Yeah, that's a beautiful description. Love that. Big fan of that. That's a great description. Well done everybody for guessing. So, and to Ralph as well, because Ralph I think was on to us. Leather handbag shop in Greece. Ooh, love that one. Menace approved. We need to get that on a t-shirt. We never got our merch, guys. We never did get our merch, did we? We did want it. We wanted a Shitress merch. We wanted Leather Daddy merch. We wanted, what was it? Flamber? Was that one? Flamber was one. And then a Menace approved one would have been great. Expensive for D, that was £183 for 100ml, £227 for 180ml. Right, let's move on to E. Is D more male? It's unisex technically, Carol, because I think it's part of the Acqua di Parma. They don't really gender their fragrances. They have some floral fragrances, which I guess they market more towards women, but they don't really gender any of them. Give us the merch. I know, I'd love the merch. I'd love a Shitress hoodie. I think maybe we should lobby Essential before I finish with them, to get me a hoodie that says Shitress on it. We should lobby them. Send them all the DMs, guys, saying we need to get some Thomas merch before he goes. E was my fave, says Gemma. I adore E. I think E is beautiful, transcendently gorgeous. It is. So we picked this one because it's more floral. And I think someone earlier said that they got lots of rose from it, and that's right, there is rose in it. It is such a wonderfully complex floral oud. Sorry, I'm a bit swinging out of shot this evening, aren't I? It's really, I don't know, I just think this fragrance has so many layers to it. So it's very floral. There's like jasmine, gardenia, and rose. And then it's got kind of this lovely sort of spiciness up top, a little bit of cumin, which makes it feel quite human. And then lovely sort of musky amber, smoky oud, sort of woody richness of oud, a little bit of that petroleum facet of oud, and then vanilla in there. It's definitely some sort of creamy vanilla. Toasted marshmallow, says Hannah. Pencil shaving, says Lisa. I get that. Does it have tea in it? It does have tea in it, Nigel. It absolutely does. There is that lovely sort of black tea vibe. A little bit too heavy, says Kelly. Light Dolce Vita. Yeah, I get that. It's giving laundrette. I love it. I'm all for that. Ginger beer oud, says Gavin. I love ginger beer. Do you know one of the things that I've really rediscovered in America this week that we don't really get over here, which you can buy over here, but it's not so easily accessible, but is root beer. I love root beer. It's so delicious. It's so weird, but it tastes so good. It's like drinking medicine. I love it. She's a stunner. Pine on skin. Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, I kind of could see the pine. Fizzy, like lemon pelargonium leaves. Lemon and incense. This one's conjuring up lots of interesting discussions. What did you think of root beer for the first time you tried it? Nigel loves it. Nigel, I think we are kind of on the same wavelength. Root beer is delicious. I'm not a fan. Root beer mouthwash. It does taste like mouthwash. I'm not gonna lie. I love it. But then I love ginger beer as well. And I used to love the ginger Pepsi they did. It tasted like hand wash, like hand soap. But I think that's why I like it. Root beer is so good. And you can get root beer with vanilla. I tried that as well. That was really good. Not something I'd ever tried before, but it settled really well. This is from a brand that I think a lot of people have discovered through these boxes. And it's not a cheap brand by any means. And it's a brand that's been going for a very, very long time. And I think over time, we have included quite a few fragrances from here. And they're always quite polarizing. But I think it's introduced people to how creative perfumery can be. And I'll never forget the first one that we put of this brand in a box, I think was in the Chypre box. which kind of blew everybody's mind a little bit. And some people really, really loved it, and some people didn't get it, and that's fine. But I just think it's a really, really beautiful brand. Does that give any clues? I don't know if it does. Those of you who've been with us for a very long time might know. Does the list of fragrances get written down anyway? Yes, Hannah, it does. There is a spreadsheet, I think, in the guides section of the Facebook group, which gets updated with all the fragrances. But they will do, Essential will have probably timed quite nicely for the end of this live a little infographic that will come out, which will tell you what all the fragrances are. Because I know it's difficult, I can't type the names as I go. We used to have people from Essential in the chat who would do it, but I think sometimes, you know, they've been at work all day, we don't need to make them come and join in here as well. So this fragrance is from Amouage. They are an Omani brand, if you don't know them. This is not what the lid looks like. I've got the tester lid on here, and I have to be a bit careful because my tester is a bit broken. So I will keep it on. It has like a normal sort of domed lid, which I think is meant to look like one of the mosques in Oman. And this is Epic Woman. What a name! Epic. Epic Woman. I am an epic woman. There is an epic man as well. I too am an epic man. Gender is a construct. So this came out in 2009. It is £205 for a 50ml eau de parfum, up to 275ml for a 100ml eau de parfum. It is in this wonderful sort of jade bottle. It's inspired by the journey of the Silk Road. It's very romantic. Just one of those fragrances that I just think is so luxurious and beautiful. I always have time for this fragrance. Hannah's favourite from the Spice Box was Amouage. And I think the first Amouage we did was Interlude Woman, wasn't it? Which was in the Chypre box, which I think was just a bit nuts because that's like a really odd sort of Kiwi Immortelle fragrance. Love the Tuberose one. Yes, Tuberose. Love Tuberose it was, wasn't it? Yes, epically unisex. I agree, Gavin. All of the Amouages are. I tend to wear the women's more than the men's, to be honest, for the Amouage. So I will wear Gold Woman, Honor Woman, Epic Woman. I tend to wear Lyric Man more than Lyric Woman. Interlude Man, Interlude I'll wear both. What else have I got from Amouage? Maybe that's it. But I tend to go for them more for the female ones. Lauren wants it. A nice Amouage, says Lisa. Never have guessed this one, says Lorraine. Beach Hut Man is superb. I just can't get over the name, Gavin. I can't believe Amouage of all people called a fragrance Beach Hut. It's the equivalent of calling a fragrance Shed. Shed for men. Like, no, who wears a fragrance called Shed? I love Amouage. I'm a big fan. I've met Christopher Chong, who was their creative director for lots of these fragrances before he left. Very fascinating man. And you know, creative visionary. Did some fantastic things with the brand. We'll never understand why he called a fragrance Beach Hut. I don't know if Beach Hut has oud in it. It probably has some towels and a beach ball. The price of this one, sorry for those of you who missed it, it's £205 for 50ml and £275 for 100ml. The next is called Cottage. Gavin, this is official menace behaviour. Cottage, the fragrance. Let's not even go into what that would smell like, Gavin. Let's not enter that territory. Let's not do it. What other merch do we want? So we want Citrus, Flumber, we want Leather Daddy, we also want Menace Approved. Let me know if there's any others that you want. F is boozy, says Lily. So we went for this one because it is much softer. There's something really kind of delicate about this one. It does cost a lot to be an epic woman, it's true. It doesn't come cheap. Rose Blind, love it. Cottage for Men, Sexy Priests. Right, someone needs to compile a list. We need to send to Essential a list of demands. Our demands must be met. And they are this and this. Sexy Priest definitely wins. Hairspray notes, yeah, we'll talk about that quite a bit. Powdery. Beautiful. There is something powdery about it. There's something quite reflective. Like, it almost like reminds me, it's very random, but I smell it and I think of sort of like sunlight reflecting from snow, and I don't know why, but that's what I get from it. So honey, yeah, wine, yeah. The honey thing totally for me, because I think there is kind of a syrupy sort of sweetness to it. I think it has a date note in it. Sweet rose on skin, boozy on strip. It's very rosy. Complex, juicy, beautiful, soft. Popcorn, says Cheryl. There's Pugsley in the background. You can probably hear him. It smells like Dubai. I've never been, but it's not too far off how I imagine it to smell. It's got a lovely Turkish rose in there. There's incense, there's oud. And oud itself isn't actually too... You get more of the medicinal side of oud in this one, less than the smoky sort of leathery aspects of it, which I think works really lovely. And there's a smoothness to this. It's like plush fabric, isn't it? It's like one of those really nice fluffy blankets. Oh, here he comes. Hello. Are you coming to say hello? You're kicking off. Why are you kicking off, buddy? Say hello to everybody. There you go. He's not dressed up as a pumpkin this time. He's just happy to have us back because he's been staying at his granddad's, haven't you? Yeah. Say hello to everybody. Hello. You want to go now? Do you want to go? Okay. Okay. I'm trying to convince Nigel to let me get another pug. A little all black pug, because Pugsy's not all black, he's this platinum colour. And I want to call it Wednesday. So I have Wednesday and Pugsley. That's what I want. He's a very handsome boy. My dog is iconic. He is absolutely iconic. Overpowering smell of this is germaline. Yeah, it's that medicinal aspect. I get where you can see that. Funky banana, says Amy. Puggo, indeed. Sunlight reflecting from wine. Hey, you know, we all have different frames of reference. So yes, this one's really, really lovely. So what is it, I guess, is the key question. It is from Van Cleef and Arpels, another brand that we've done a few of. And this is Oud Blanc. I so want Wednesday to happen. I'm a bit obsessed with the Addams Family, but like the 90s Addams Family, like the Angelica Houston Addams Family values. So yes, this is, I will tell you the price, £117.30 for a 75ml Eau de Parfum. This came out in 2020 by Perfume and Filippo. And I think it's just another example of how this collection, the Van Cleef and Arpels collection, is just really understatedly elegant and beautiful. There we go. Yes, I agree, Jen. They are really, really, really good. Underrated, I would say. And also what I like about them is they're not loads of people wearing their fragrances, so you can kind of be a little bit different wearing them without them being too wildly unique or strange. Okay, we've got 2 more to go. And I'm rapidly losing my ability to speak, so let's move at pace now. So last one I say we picked is because it's more of a woody oud, and we get a bit of Tom Ford oud wood vibes from this one. But there's a little bit more like a freshness, a pininess from this one. How much was it again? That one was £117.30 for a 75ml. So this one is a more woody take on oud. A bit drier, I think. I don't know what you think of G. Yeah, there's definitely a fougere element to it. You get a little bit of that lavender, a little bit of that kind of citrus stuff up top. Bergamot. Peppery. Quite peppery, don't you think? It's a green oud, says Kelly. Quite manly. Herb. Yeah, there is a bit of a herbaceousness. There's a cardamom note in there, I think, that gives it a lot of that aggression. That kind of gives it that freshness and that greenery. Sexy librarian vibes. Okay, we need to add that to our list of match. Sexy librarian, sexy priest, leather daddy. Earthy. Herbal. Yeah, I think it's quite a nice patchouli facet going on as well, which is kind of, again, pushing that fougere character. Start anise, definitely. Licorice, aniseed. Bit hand soapy. Yeah, I'm here for that. I love a bit of hand soap. Well, this one is from Versace, and this is Versace Pour Homme Oud Noir. Not a very inspired name, but a good fragrance. It came out in 2013, and it is a £89 and 25ml for 100 millilitres of Eau de Parfum. I like the bottle as well for this one. Walking in nature in a tropical country. Beautiful, love that. Starts out fresh but settles on something completely softer. Yeah, agree. Agree. I have no notes. Agree. £89, 25 for 100ml of Eau de Parfum. I feel like I'm on the shopping channel sometimes. I feel like I'd be good on the shopping channel. Actually, no, I wouldn't be. I'd be terrible because I can't get my words out. And I would say things like citrus and flamber. Might have changed over the years, Gavin, possibly. Depends how old your decant is. And might have oxidised as well if it's decanted. Right, let's do H. Last one. This one is, again, a more aromatic oud. I like this fragrance. I remember when this came out. It came out in... Well, I was looking at this earlier. I thought it was more recent than this, but I was definitely blogging when it came out because I remember it coming across my desk. It came out in 2015. Good, Lisa. That's good to know. Thank you. The name is Oud Noir by Versace. It doesn't have the name, but you can probably see it here, actually. Oud Noir. There you go, on the bottom. H, I think, is really interesting. I remember it coming out and thinking, from the brand, not really expecting a huge amount of greatness, but actually, really, really like this fragrance. It's very unique. Again, soapiness to this one. So it opens quite soapy, quite green, quite fresh. It's mossy. There's a lovely lavender note in there. It's much more aromatic. It is a fougere because there's like neroli, then sort of lavender, bergamot, and then it goes mossy. And then it's got this lovely leather oud smokiness, and cardamom as well in there to give it a bit of that sort of aquaticness. Really, really underrated fragrance. Well, I don't think underrated actually, because they've done many flankers of it, which tells me it's been quite successful. It's a masculine fragrance, but I think anybody could wear it. It's always fascinating, isn't it, Kelly, when you get one of those fragrances that you can't work out whether you like it or not. It's not a bad sign. It means there's something interesting in there. Yes, definitely beautiful orange blossom. The neroli in here is really, really prominent. It is affordable. I'm pleased to tell you it's affordable. And it has a beautiful bottle. Beautiful bottle that's very heavy, feels very weighty. I'm going to tell you what it is. So this fragrance comes from Dunhill. Yes, Dunhill. And it is Dunhill Icon. Look at this beautiful bottle. It's very heavy, very weighty. Look at that. Gorgeous. Lovely details in there. And this is just such a... I don't know, it's just such a... It's such a pleasant fragrance to wear. Very handsome. Very nice quality. I think it does something unusual. Oud here is more of a supporting act than the main sort of star, but I think that works really well. And it's £79.90 for 100ml. I think it's beautiful. Really, really good. So yeah, so that is Icon by Dunhill. And they've done, excuse me, many different versions of Icon in different colours. I've got like a red one, a green one, a blue one, a gold one. I like the British Racing Green one. I think that's a very nice bottle, but I don't remember the fragrance very well. You hear the name and think cigarettes. Yeah, this is a really nicely done fragrance. Probably the best thing in the line, I think, from Dunhill. I think this is really worth exploring, and a nice price, and feels very weighty. You could do some damage with that bottle. Okay, well that brings Oud to an end. That's it. Thank you very much. We are now doing musk in December, and then lavender in January. And then that's it from me. 2 more months. Maybe we should try and do something special for the last one. What do you think? What should we do? How should we celebrate the last one in lavender in January? It's £79.90. What should we do? feel like we need to mark the occasion. Open to suggestions. I'm just hiding in the background. No worries, you're all welcome. I will feel better soon, I hope, otherwise I'm going to get very grumpy. Zoom reveal. Do you know what, Gavin? I think that's a really good idea, because I think it would be nice to get everybody able to talk together. What do you think? Should we do a Zoom? Shall I speak to Essentiel and see if we can do a Zoom? I think that's a really good idea. Oh, I'm glad you're not scared of Oud anymore. Okay, Zoom reveal. I think that's it. And then we can all have a nice chat, can't we? And I can sort of speak to you all directly. I think that would be great. Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody. I will see you between now and January. See you in December, before Christmas. Or are we after Christmas? Hold on, are we after Christmas for the next one? It will be, won't it? When is the next one? When is Musk? When is Musk? Essential Scents. Let's have a click. Events. Where's the events? There they are. Musk. 29th of December, so I won't see you before Christmas. Well, have a lovely Christmas. If I don't... Oh my god, that's so weird. I can see myself on the screen. Because I've just clicked on Facebook and the Essential Scents group. Very weird. I won't see you before Christmas then, but I will surely wish you all a happy Christmas in the group, and I'll see you all for Musk soon. Thanks everybody, have a good evening and a good weekend. Bye!